Hey guys, welcome. This is a general reading for the collective of Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Not date or time specific whenever you come upon it. If it speaks to you, it could be your message at that time, but it is a general reading, so it won't resonate for everyone. Just take what does speak to you, leave the rest. Sometimes the messages come in specifically for a cross-watcher, so if you're here cross-watching for an Aries, keep that in mind. All right, here we go. I'm jumping right in. Let's see what we've got for the overall energy of the reading. This particular reading and spread I'm going to do, I'm sort of getting a frame of where we've been, where we are, where we're headed. So this is like a wrap up for 2022, and the next series of readings I'll look toward the future, but I kind of feel like it's been a fustercluck. Lots of confusion, emotional overwhelm, mixed messages, you name it, lots of options, ways to process things. Wow. Okay. So here, in the past, what we've just come through, Ace of Cups, 8 of Swords, 10 of Wands. Feels like you've been through quite a cycle, and you're kind of ready to release it all. You may just not know how at this moment, or you may be feeling stuck as to your next best step. But this person represents a divine gift of love from spirit, maybe the love of a lifetime even, but you've been walking through like blindfolded, and the next best step is always into your feelings here, but I think that you've been more up in your head, trying to process everything more on a mental level than on an emotional level, which is why we're in the confusion. Okay, and just ready to offload all the negative karma, release the burden. Present energy here, we've got the 8 of Wands, the 9 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. So definitely something keeping you up at night, knowing that you need to communicate, almost calling it in. The 3 of Wands here, very like manifestation but anticipation of a conversation, and all that phase where we know that we have this potential thing looming. It may just be that you know that beyond a shadow of a doubt there's going to come a moment where you have to kind of talk things out, right? We've got confusion, mixed messages, emotional overwhelm here, but we also now have anxiety to add to it, and you may be worried about that conversation. So half calling it in and anticipating it, but also worried about what may come of that conversation. And I'm thinking it's almost as if it may be very necessary to kind of close out something that's really been weighing you down and holding you back even. But we get very reluctant when faced with those kinds of scenarios, right? When we've been stuck for so long, and then we know the pace is picking up and there's this opportunity to communicate and back and forth exchange of energies, and it kind of tweaks us out. So I get that. Now in the future, 9 of Cups, here's the Hierophant and the Hermit. My goodness. So I think this is where you sort of moving out of 2022. I think you're getting a little bit, you've been on this solitary journey, learning a lot about yourself. You will continue in that vein. You will absolutely be focused on contentment, on emotional balance, because this is not that. And also finding some measure of, wish fulfillment. Like, yeah, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I've learned a lot on this journey. I'm kind of firmly rooted in my beliefs now about conventional committed relationships. I'm going to continue on my path, learn more, explore more. This feels like you're moving into more self-exploration, but from a more solid, grounded perspective. Which is why we need to kind of rid ourselves of all the anxiety and the worry and the confusion and the stuckness. Woo! Aries, 7 of Cups. 9 of Wands, Queen of Swords, Ace of Cups again from underneath the deck. So this has definitely been something that has gotten your attention for the past year. It's been exhausting, 9 of Wands, but you kind of haven't given up on it. Queen of Swords, lots of unanswered questions, and just this sort of search for truth. What is really going on? You may even be sitting here saying, all I want to know is how they really feel. It could be that simple. How do they really feel? How do they feel about me? How do they feel about the connection? Because now we have in this past the Ace of Cups. So let's look at the Ace of Cups and the Eight of Swords. Wow. Well, the reason why you've been feeling stuck is because from under the deck here we have the Page of Swords. Just no clarity. Sort of on a search for some kind of information. We have the Ace of Cups with the Magician and the Temperance card. You know, manifesting this beautiful love of a lifetime, being very patient, lots of self-control and restraint, which is not normally your calling card if you're here as the Aries of any planetary placement. Aries is always the firebrand and always the initiator, and very cardinal, very like startup energy. And so if you've been manifesting this love of a lifetime, and here we have the Ace of Cups, and yet it eludes you, there's lots of confusion around it on an emotional level, you got to kind of exercise the higher octave of that Sagittarian energy of control and restraint. And also on some level, knowing that in time all the energies come into flow and balance, especially once you get the information you need. So that's why I think you've been stuck, is because there's been this lots of control and restraint on your part, and yet not a lot of clues as to where this other person is coming from, how they see the situation, how they feel. Wow. Okay, so we've been stuck long enough. Now we're, you know, 10 of Wands. Let's look at the 10 of Wands. We're ready to sort of release all that difficult energy. Sun, Two of Pentacles, Page of Cups. I do feel like there's been this feeling torn. Do I just move on to find my happiness? Am I ever going to find out how this person really feels? So with the Page of Cups under the deck, when I pull from under the deck, for those of you who are new, welcome. It's usually what's going on behind the scenes or in unconscious awareness, bubbling up in the psyche, that kind of thing. That's why I pull it. I want to see what's the nuance here. What are we not seeing underneath the surface? On the surface, it's like, should I stay or should I go? If I want to be happy and I'm not happy and I'm just confused and I don't know how this person feels, should I just unburden myself? But somewhat feeling torn. And here's that little Page of Cups underneath, which would be a message of, you know, from the heart, something sincere. Could be a message of love, a message of apology, or just something that says, I really do care. So I think you've been sort of in this weighing the options kind of energy, assessing realities on the ground, really focused on your happiness and not feeling it. And that's what you've been working through this past year, despite the fact that you see this person and this connection as a gift. I know. So now, present energy, we've got the Eight of Wands, and let's see that Nine of Swords. Eight of Wands again. Three of Cups. Page of Pentacles. So something is here that kind of unfolded that may require some form of reconciliation. I think you're waiting for good news here. I think you're waiting for some kind of communication. I'm saying waiting because I've got the Three of Wands. That's why I'm saying that. But you're waiting like a cat on a hot tin roof. Maybe you're just wanting a fresh start. Will the communication open up to some kind of like a begin again kind of energy? Let's go back to square one. Let's start again. The Three of Cups is, you know, maybe a focus on something more positive and uplifting and celebratory, and a cause for celebration, coming back together, reconciling differences, putting some difficult energy to bed, but you're worried about it. With that Nine of Swords there, you're definitely a little, it's very anxiety provoking. And then we've got the Three of Wands. Because what you want is your happily ever after. There's the Magician, the Hermit, and there's the Nine of Swords again. So we have the Hermit here in the future, and you're seeing it right now in the present. Sort of like, maybe I have to continue on my path for I think that's your worry. I think what you're worried about is the anticipation that you might not have the happily ever after unfolding here. You may not get the emotional completion and the joy and the bliss and the nirvana that you're hoping for, and you may need to continue on a solitary path. That may be a cause for the anxiety. I love that we have a double hit of the Eight of Wands, so we know that it's about communication and an exchange, an energetic exchange of energy between you. Let me rephrase that. A passionate exchange of energy between you. An energetic exchange of energy. Yeah. Say that, Laura. That sounds right. And yet this Nine of Swords is also, we have a double hit of that as well as the Hermit. So there's worry here. There's anxiety. There's concerns about what may come out, what may be revealed. And because the Queen of Swords is here, we know that that's part of what you need, is some kind of truth. We also have the Page of Swords, right? So something's holding you back, Eight of Swords, and it's all the lack of clarity about where this person stands and therefore where the connection stands. So when we look at the future, we've got the Nine of Cups. I'm going to do that by itself. Eight of Cups, Two of Wands, Tower. Almost feels to me like if there is some continued measure of complacency, sometimes the Nine of Cups in reverse is somebody that's gotten kind of too comfortable with things as they are, and not as you want them, especially if you're after a Ten of Cups and someone's like, yeah, I'm all right with the way things are. It may be that you need to choose a path that takes you towards something higher, some higher vibration, something more than what you've got here. So I do feel like there's this moment where you've got to decide your path forward. Is this sustainable anymore? So the Tower in the unconscious awareness here, it's like, is this even gonna last? Can I continue in this vein? So I do feel like you may come up upon some decision, some choosing of a path going forward. You may need to leave all of this in the rearview mirror if you're not going to get the happiness and the emotional contentment that you desire and deserve, quite frankly. So let's look at the Hierophant and the Hermit. Four of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, Nine of Cups again. Lots of repeating energies here. Think you're going to sort of recommit yourself to what you want on an emotional level. This kind of feels very disheartening, like a little disillusionment happening here with this Four of Cups, right? There's the Ace that's come out twice, but it's being missed. The person isn't even seeing it. They're missing it. And they're all focused here on the Three of Cups. So it's interesting to me because we do have the Three of Cups here right now. For those of you where there may be third party, that may be a little subtle hint toward that. I'm not seeing it as the predominant message, but for some of you it will be. So I do feel like the disillusionment kind of forces you to recommit yourself to what will make you happy, to not being complacent in your own life, and moving forward very methodically, very deliberately, with a plan and purpose. And that may require you flying solo for a while and continuing on this path. So I like the Hermit because it is about self-exploration and personal growth, and I'm a big proponent of that. It is about introspection and sort of becoming the guide. And when you become the guide, you got to start with yourself so that you know that the path that you're following is taking you where you want to go. And that's what I see here is there's this struggle within you, and I'm getting that mostly from this Two of Pentacles. I think it's been kind of haunting you in 2022, at the very least, maybe longer, that I'm not getting the emotional response that I desire and deserve. And maybe feeling torn about letting it all go and continuing on your path. So that's been the struggle this year. That's been the confusion. That's been where you've encountered all the emotional overwhelm and all the options to consider, and you're not getting the clarity, or you haven't heretofore gotten the clarity that you really need to make the decision about how you're going to proceed. So I think 2023 may actually be the year where you kind of determine what's sustainable and what's not sustainable, so that you get settled and firm in your own view of the kind of committed connection you're looking for. And unless or until you receive that, you're quite comfortable continuing on a solitary journey. So that's what I see for you here, Aries. Let me tell you the astrology of who showed up, but there is, as always, a link in the description box below. It's in the first sentence that will take you to the extended, which is going to be from your person's point of view, and we'll sort of size them up in a similar fashion. Okay, so we have Queen of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Actually, it's Libra. We've got the Magician is Virgo and Gemini. It's a card of Mercury. We have Temperance is Sagittarian energy. The Sun is Leo. The Hermit is out twice. That's Virgo. We have the Tower is Aries. Hierophant is Taurus. So that's what I've got for you. The link to the extended is below if you want to take a sneak peek as to how your person has sized up the past, the present, and the future. I'll see you there. Otherwise, bye for now.